whenever we get a request for a translation of something that we have, an e-learning that we have, we take it in a two-part approach. So first, we have it translated in either through a vendor or through some of the great tools that Articulate has introduced into its authoring. And then we have a human review from one of our experts like Keiko, someone who knows the local market intimately. So one of our most translated e-learning is an e-learning on unconscious bias. We have it in something like 35 languages. We've learned a lot throughout that process that, just because there's a word that something translates to doesn't mean it carries the same context globally. So it's sometimes using a word that's similar but different, not that direct translation. And there are a lot of really practical things that you can do in the process to just make it feel more relevant to people. So things like writing dates and times in the local format. Is it year, month, day, month, year, some other different combination. Using characters that have names from that target location and images of people that represent the diversity within the organization. Avoiding idioms, slangs, or other cultural references that might not make sense globally. And avoiding images or colors, any kind of visuals that might have a different meaning globally. Sometimes we want to avoid the color red, for example, in certain markets. So that's really important to take into account. And, the great thing about e-learning is that it is a very personal experience. We can offer things that are really tailored to your individual need, but we don't have the benefit of a facilitator there to clarify all the time, right? We don't have that social aspect necessarily built in. So I think the more that we can do to localize the e-learning, it not only helps our learners to digest the information more, but it also shows a real dedication and commitment to supporting their learning. And I think that dedication carries on to the learner and they can feel that, and it makes them more motivated in the process. And I guess one other difference that is particularly common that I see with e-learning is while nobody will typically complain about getting some kind of recognition for what they did. There are certain geographies, particularly APAC, where I really see a strong desire for a thing like a certificate of completion when you finish a course. So in some markets, people are like, okay, another piece of paper, another PDF that I'm going to download. But in some markets, it is really important to show that you spent the time, that you committed to it, that you learned something, and have some kind of qualification in a quantifiable way. So the more that you can incorporate that as well, I think is a great idea.